permutation in string. So we are given two strings S1 and S2. So we're trying to find out that if S1 is in S2 or any of the permutations of S1 is in S2, right? If it is, then we return true, otherwise we return false. So for example, S1 is A and B, S2 is this longer string, right? So we can find that B and A, which is the permutation of S1, is in S2 itself. So we're going to return true in this case. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? Intuitively, we are going to find every permutation of S1 and then check whether they are appearing in S2 or not, right? This is one of the thinking. But it obviously takes a lot of time. So the key to solve this problem is if we can find a composition in S2, which is the same length as S1, but it contains the same amount of characters. For example, we can find a 1A and 1B in here, right? Then we know that we definitely can find a permutation of S1 that is in S2, because if such a string has the same combination of characters, then by definition of permutation, it will have any order, right? It will permutate to any of the order with the same combination of characters, and then we know that it is guaranteed that we're gonna have a permutation that appears in S2, right? So by this observation, like to take a look at the same example in here, right? So this S1 contains 1A and 1B. If we can find such a string in S2 have the same length, which is 2, where it also contains 1A and 1B, right? And then we know it is guaranteed that we can find a permutation that appears in S2. Okay, so by knowing this intuition, right? So what we need to do is we're gonna iterate through the S1 string, right? And then we're gonna calculate how many different characters appear in the string, and we can maintain a data structure to record the number of A's or number of B's, etc. It's like a counter array. We can do that, and then after that, we're gonna iterate through each of the substrings with the same length as S1, and then see whether it is the same combination compared to the array we just calculated, right? Whether it contains 1A and 1B, right? So if it does, then we're going to return true directly. Otherwise, we will further iterate through the next character, but then like shrinking the previous character, cut the previous character out. So basically, in this case, we're gonna don't consider E, but consider D in here. So we have 1I and then 1D in this case, right? We minus the E we already calculated, but we plus the D we calculated. And then we further check whether it matches the combination of string 1 or not, which is 1A and 1B. It doesn't, we keep going until we see a B and A, which matches the combination of the string 1. Then we know we're going to return true in that case. Otherwise, we're going to keep going until the end of string 2. If we cannot find a solution, then we return false. All right, so let's take a look at the code. First, we need to check whether string 1 is longer than string 2. If that's the case, we return false directly, because there's no, it's not possible that we can find a string in string 2, right? Because string 1 is longer. And otherwise, we are going to initialize a target array, which we simply count the number of appearance of characters in string 1, right? And if we see a string, we see a character, we're going to plus 1. We can do that. We don't have to use a map, because the restrict is S1 and S2 are all lowercase English letters, right? So this is where we can use an array of 26. And the next step is to trying to iterate through the string S2, right? But with the same length as S1. So we do initial calculation of the first several characters, like however many characters S1 has, right? And then we minus our counter array, target counter array, see whether it has the same combination or not for the first several characters, right? For the first, like, if it matches, then we're going to return true. So the match function is basically trying to iterate through the array and then see whether that the target array is 0, has come 0 or not. If it does, for every single character, then we return true, because we found a match, right? Otherwise, we return false. So if it's matched, we return true directly. Otherwise, here is where we're gonna shrink the previous character, and then augment with the new character is basically substitute, right? So we maintain the length of S1 as a window, and then we took out one character from the beginning, and then add another character at the end. Basically, this is what we're doing. So we calculate the previous character starting from 0, and we calculate our current character, which is beyond the length of S1 until the end of S2, right? And what we do is, we previous character we're gonna +1, current character we're gonna -1, right? So because we're no longer having the previous character anymore, we're gonna +1 as a target. So once we've done that, we call the match function again to see whether every single character in this array is 0 or not. If it is, then we return true, otherwise we return false. We do this for every single character until it reaches the end of string 2, so we no longer have any characters. If in the middle we can find such a permutation of S1, then we're going to return true, otherwise at the end of the day we're going to return false.